Hello and welcome to Become the Teapot. I'm Iain.
And snow am I.
Still getting the mileage out of those snow puns, eh?
You snows it.
Right. 'Tis the season once again, dear listeners, for us to compare festive films with their comic counterparts. And do we have some gifts for you?
That's right. So come take a look at what's in Uncle Ian's bulging sacks. Wait, that didn't come out right.
No, it did not. What I think Ian's trying to say is that we have not one but two Christmas episodes coming up.
This week, we've been watching 2019's Shazam.
And reading Geoff Johns' new 52 reboot of the character from the pages of Justice League.
Which, as it happens, are both set at Christmas.
So place your hands upon our powerful staffs.
And say our name.
And prepare yourselves to become the Teapot. Iain! Shazam 2019. Did you like it? What did you think?
I did, yeah. This is only the second time I've watched it. It's pretty much Big meets Superman, isn't it?
Yeah, the big references come out a lot in the mall fight with the piano on the floor and things like that. And I mean this in the best possible sense. To me, it feels like a Marvel film.
Yeah.
Better still, it feels specifically like Spider-Man Homecoming, which is one of my favourite Marvel films. And I really liked that about it.
Yeah, it's kind of a Marvel film. You know, the good guy versus the bad guy. They've got the same power, you know, the same skill set.
Yeah.
Which in this is pretty much the same.
Yes, it is.
But it works. It's fun.
It means you have to spend less time setting up the villain, which means you can focus more on the hero.
Yeah.
Historically, specifically with like the 90s Batman films, there was a lot of emphasis on the villains and not much on the heroes. So yeah, I always prefer this approach, even if it can lead to some rather unremarkable villains. But I don't think Mark Strong is here. I think you're in safe hands with him. He's an excellent bad guy.
Yeah.
One of the few redeeming features of Green Lantern. And I just think he sells it, and he's clearly reveling in everything he's doing. So yeah, I think it works well, that setup of having more focus on Billy Batson, and obviously then you've got 5 other foster kids to focus on.
Yeah, I really like that it opens up with the bad guy. Before me and Kate watched this, she said, is there anything that I have to know? I was like, no, you're fine, let's watch it. And the first scene, obviously him as a kid, and she's like, well, that's clearly the good guy. And you go, hee. You wait and see. But yeah, I do like that it humanises Dr. Savannah, is it?
Yeah.
And it starts off as him as a kid rather than starting off with a hero.
Yeah, it does mean though we have, for quite a light-hearted film, we've got quite a bleak opening actually. We've got the car crash with him and then immediately into Billy Batson getting lost at the fair. It's sort of 15 minutes of this film, the setting up is pretty depressing.
It's like the start of Up.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Just kids being abandoned and chastised and people being crippled. And then it gets into this quite light-hearted fair with, training montages set to Queen songs.
And him flossing.
Yeah. That dated it a little bit, didn't it?
I thought that was kind of funny.
It is funny.
I mean, it happened.
Yeah, it was very much what kids were doing at the time. I'm not sure kids of Billy's age were doing it at the time. One thing I always thought was a bit strange was there's a strange thing where Billy as a child doesn't behave like Shazam does as Shazam. So, obviously you've got an adult acting as a child doing an impression of a teenager, but obviously that isn't what the teenager acts like. The teenager acts a lot more mature than that when he's himself. So it's always a bit strange, But, I mean, apart from that, that's the only sort of thing I was thinking, watching it going, why is he acting quite so goofy and childlike? Because that's what an adult's interpretation of a teenager is. But it's not what a teenager's interpretation of a teenager is. So
yeah, there are definite points where the adult Shazam, not the adult Shazam, the adult version of him doesn't quite match up with the younger version.
Yeah.
I would say towards the end of the film it does a bit more.
Yes.
Because they've both grown up, I guess. It's the same character, but they both realised that it was all about family and he's got to be a hero and he can't just zap people's phones. Charged. Like, use your powers for good, mate.
It's mostly played for laughs, and that's why it gets away with it. It's funny to see a grown man act like a child. Like you say, it's Big, essentially.
Yeah.
That's where the comedy comes from. And it's something that I think has not always been the case in the comics. I think certainly used to be that, he was a child and then he was a hero as a man. He wasn't a brain of a child really inside a man. He didn't behave like a child. I think it was something that they brought in relatively later. It wasn't in this New 52 run, but the New 52 run certainly solidified that as an idea.
Yeah. Well, in theory, and they kind of say it, but it doesn't happen, when he turned into Shazam, he should have the wisdom of Solomon.
Yes.
And yet he's an idiot.
Yeah. That was always the case before, but he definitely doesn't have wisdom of Solomon here, and some of the other powers as well.
I also want to talk about, because we've mentioned Mark Strong being a very, very good bad guy, and, you know,
he's a safe pair of hands, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. The other one that I do quite like is his dad, John
Glover. Yes, of Smallville fame.
Exactly.
And also, he was the doctor who made Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin.
Yes, and Bane.
And Bane, yeah.
Made Bane as well. He was also the voice of the Riddler in the Batman the Animated Series. There you go.
Oh, I didn't actually know. That's quite cool. Next episode, we continue with our festive mirth by watching our favourite Christmas film, Die Hard.
Wait, Die Hard's based on a comic?
Well, not exactly, but they did make a comic book prequel to it, Die Hard Year One.
That's not really what the show's about, though. Sounds a bit tenuous.
Oh, it's absolutely tenuous, but it is an excuse to watch Die Hard.
Then that's all you need. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.